Alright, I believe we are live. Hello, everybody. It is that time of year again when Final Fantasy Randomizer tournament things happen, and we've got an exciting matchup for you tonight. Spellzapp and Tarnin in a Battle of the Fleets. So Dang, you're a little more familiar with Spellzapp than I am. I can see that he is running Rainbow Mages, but what can you tell me about his experience with this?
This is probably his most favorite combination, so it kind of goes into his wheelhouse. He generally will get rid of the white mage later on. That's the reason why he named it Dang, because he just likes to kill me off. But for him, this is in his wheelhouse, so it's going to be very good. On Tarnin's side, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, the double fighter is always good. It's a very safe route, I would say. Probably a very good, like, non-risky combination.
Yeah, Tarnin, when he originally showed up in the community, immediately started doing the hardest seeds he could find. So I at least know that he knows what he's doing when it comes to the kinds of things that can happen with the randomizer. They haven't let out the gate, and we're just waiting for the stream to catch up, and they are off. So in these flags, Canaria is always going to be Canary, and every flag Canaria is going to always be Canaria. Make sure to harass the devs if you would like that changed. I think we only see Wall and Temper at first level, so this is going to be a bit of a rough start, unless we've got some decent weapons available cheap.
Yeah, I haven't seen very much of anything right now for them. It's going to be a very rough level 1. I mean, I guess they can go level 1 fire spell and, you know, kill some low-level stuff, but beyond that...
Well, the hand axe is in reach if you don't stock up on items right at the gate and fight a couple of imp fights before you head for Temple of Fiend.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even think that, at least for Spellzapp, he might go check the chests, do like a save before Temple, but he might go check out like Provoca or Elfland to see what's available there, see if he can get some low-level spells there, and like maybe grind a level off of imps, maybe? See if he can get the early Provoca for level 2.
Well, with these flags, you can pretty much hit level 3 in a couple of imp fights. Also, apologies that I haven't been acknowledged in chat. There we go. Falconic, that pun was terrible. But yeah, so it looks like Spell did pick up a level on his way up. And Tarnin is not too far behind, although he went ahead and got that extra level. Now, with these lightweight spells at first level, this does at least favor Tarnin early on, just because, like, he has 2 fighters.
Yeah, it does. But at the same time, killing stuff early is really rough. I mean, thankfully, Spellzapp got the Dragon Sword up in the northwest chest up there, so that's going to help out his chances of killing Garland here, especially with the Temper.
But it is one of those things, this is already, to me, feeling like a melee-heavy seed, just because when you don't have anything really strong at first level, it really cuts into how many spells you have at your disposal deeper into the game. That being said, I didn't see what poisoned the crap out of Tarnin, but holy cow, he got the crap poisoned out of him.
Early floater from Sarah, and then you get the incentivized ribbon from the king. Interesting.
Yeah, that's not a bad set of pickups out the gate. So, now the question becomes, where am I going to hunt for the canoe?
If it was me, I would probably do like a safe reset just north of the bridge, check Matoya's, check Provoca, see what city's there. If nothing's available, reset out and go west. Go through the dwarves and see if you can find a loose canoe, because trying to do Marsh Cave without any AoE spells is really, really rough.
Yeah. I usually tend to favor checking dwarves just out the gate in case, like, events over near Provoca wind up leading me farther away from Dwarf Cave. You know, just go ahead and check it. If there happens to be money or something there, then I can go ahead and get some supplies in Corneria before heading toward Provoca. But I keep getting practice seeds where I have no save items, so that may play into my routing a little bit. That being said, Spell does appear to be following your lead on this one and heading to Matoya. I didn't see where he saved, but I have to assume he did something similar to what you said you would do.
So far he made 13,000 over in Matoya, so that's a good chunk of change to get any armor and stuff like that that you might need to survive if you're just going to try and run through Marsh Cave, as long as there's no unrunnables. If you can get like iron armor on your fighter, maybe a cheap bracelets or two on your mages, you might be able to run through that.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the kind of situation where you wind up in on-rack.
I like the Provoca just because the fights to Provoca are generally not as terrible as the fights going unrunnable wolves and gray wolves, so that could be rough. But generally, the fights going down to Elflin I find are a lot less forgiving compared to others.
It's hit or miss, because the thing about the trek over to Provoca is you have a lot of... Oh, look at that! It was on-rack! And just to correct chat, I do not love on-rack, that place is a hole. But on-rack also lacks armor and weapon shops.
And the cool thing about on-rack is, especially if you get it early, if you have like a really good spell early on, like a nuke, a fade, or a lit, and let's say the king gives you Oxale, you can almost do early level grinding just to get yourself set up, because you can go into the Sea Shrine and maybe a one-shot AoE everything.
It is a bit of it's a bit of a risky proposition, because a lot of the things in Sea Shrine tend to have pretty decent turn order on you. So you have to kind of get lucky there, and it's a bit of a hike back every time. I'm just going to point out, at least Melmond has, like, spells that you're likely to be able to cast, and, like, the only institution of learning on the entire planet.
Wolves with slow, that's kind of annoying since we have no AoE spells.
Yeah, this is what I was saying about the trek to Provoca is, while the individual enemies are easier, you tend to get a lot more large packs heading toward Provoca. Like, the Elfland route does have stronger enemies, but if you can either, like, run away from them or just survive them, like, the only thing you really have to worry about are wolf packs, heading toward Elfland.
Yeah, I mean, you only have wolf, but you also have a lot more variety of enemies, kind of, too, though, that you have to worry about. You got the arachnids, you have asps, you have ogres, creeps, wolves, both wolves. It's just I mean, it's not bad though, because you actually get a good look of a lot of the spells that all of them have.
Now, Tarnin is doing something we didn't see Spellzapp do. He is checking the vendor, if the vendor item's in on-rack. It's not, but he's checking.
Spellzapp actually did check. He instantly reset as soon as he checked.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Is Tarnin is doing what Spellzapp didn't. You know, so it's one of those things. If the vendor item had been there, it would be to his advantage to have that information. But even without it there, you know, if it comes down to having to trek back to on-rack or check somewhere else, you know, Spellzapp may lose a little bit of time checking on-rack first.
So Elflin is Elflin. Ice 3, it's not too bad. It does pretty well in Marsh Cave. You would definitely like a fire spell, though.
I mean, with the HP enemies have in Marsh Cave, even Ice 3 is going to be enough, and Cold is not a super common resistance, if memory.
Fade was available. I think it was in the 3rd slot. That is Red Wizard learnable after. So, I mean, Spellzapp might bring up his White Wizard just to make Marsh Cave easier for him. And he says, I am not listening to Dang and will not bring him up.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see. I wasn't quite looking. What slot was Fade in? Did you notice?
Oh, it was in the 3rd slot. I guess it is Red Mage learnable.
Yeah, so he has access to that without the White Mage. Now, personally, I would be more inclined in the situation to maybe consider ditching the Black Mage instead, just because the White Mage, I don't know. I actually don't tend to Dan anyone, so, you know, your mileage may vary. But personally, I'd rather have the double Fade than double Ice 3. If I have to pick.
Agree with that. The double Fade right now would definitely be a very good thing to have, considering, you know, that's all they have, really. Ice 3 is a nice spell, but it's no Fade.
Yeah, like, in a pinch, I definitely prefer Ice 3 to pretty much anything that's not Fade or Nuke in terms of damage, but, you know, it's the difference between trying to remember what enemies do and don't resist cold versus, oh, all I have to care about is your M-Def.
So Tarnan's just a little bit behind, but he had picked up a bunch of healing spells, and it looks like he's been kind of slowed down on some nasty enemies here, so he's had to reset a couple times.
Yeah, he did pick up a bunch of houses, though, so I'm not going to be surprised if, well, I will be surprised if he doesn't at least check the other town before diving into Marsh, but it is one of those things he at least has the option of just saying, you know what, I'm just going to punch everything in the face.
Yeah, as Lord Fizzlebeef has pointed out, it looks like I think Spellzapp's actually taking a couple fights to get those Fade charges. Because you at least want one Fade charge just in case you run into something, for sure. Beyond that, though, I mean, any extra spell charge you can get helps you out, obviously.
Yeah. Either way, Spellzapp is making his way toward Marsh Cave, and Tarnan will probably be like 2 minutes behind him, hitting Marsh, if he's gotten a handle on the encounter table.
And, you know, as you had pointed out earlier, Tarnan had picked up houses, and you can see Spellzapp is not casting anything for some reason, so he must not have any houses available to him. He doesn't want to waste any of his casts.
I think the only place that sold houses so far was up in Onrak, and, well, we know what Spellzapp did when he saw Onrak. Now, probably, I think Tarn only has one house left, so probably what we're going to see out of him is once he... Oh, you know what I just realized? That Fade's also available to Knights. Tarnan is going to be able to throw around Fades like candy if he finds the tail.
Yeah, and because he kept his White Mage up, he has Exit, and if his White Mage is able to have that... Ooh, a nice Ice Armor pickup for Spellzapp up in the top part of Marsh, definitely gives his fighter a lot more survivability.
Yeah, but as I was saying, the one thing Tarnan may be planning on doing is conserving his spells on the way to Marsh, and then just kind of burning through everything on his way out, since he knows he has that house waiting for him. he is also very wisely picking up a ludicrous number of softs. Yeah, to kind of revisit a point you made earlier, Dang, you know, Marsh Cave, one of the big issues with it is just the sheer number of enemy types you see down here. So your odds of seeing a nasty skill or touch ability are dramatically increased down in Marsh Cave.
Yeah, and it looked like it just hit Spellzapp. He had already just reset. He couldn't even make it to this second, which he just got to. So he had to reset out. And he doesn't have any exit charges, so it's not like he can just hit exit here and save again. He has to walk himself back out, going through all of these dangerous enemy types, and hope that he can make it out to save again.
Yeah. Looks like the ice armor was just about the only thing that was worth the trouble on this floor.
We've got Mux with Rub, so hopefully he loses his Black Mage, but his Black Mage really didn't have many spells anyway, so the only thing he was good for was helping him to run, which is kind of good though.
So the question is, at this point, does Spellzapp say, you know what, forget it, this is now a two-man strat, or nope, he is heading back to the clinic?
If I was in his position, I would... Because I'm crazy, I probably would have tried it just to try it one time, just to see how far I could go. But with a red mage, I think it would have been really hard because you can't really run for much, and you don't have enough fade charges to just safety fade.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It looks like they probably could have gotten down to the second floor of South with only one or two encounters. And at that point, you're on a different encounter table, so I may have chanced it just to see if maybe, like, the enemy formations on the lower levels were a little bit friendlier to getting out. To answer the question, chat, there was ice armor in the top of Marsh Cave, and I think Spellzapp decided that that little bit of defensiveness was worth the trouble.
And I would agree. I mean, this early on, you get the nice armor, or the absorb, and then you also get the resistances to at least the one elemental, so helps out.
Yeah, I think the absorb is probably more pressing, just because, you know, there's not a lot here that's going to hit you hard. Like, in abilities, you're probably not going to have much luck with or without the ice armor, but having that absorb is worth it. And it would appear that Tarnin is immediately agreeing. He's not even waiting to take a step to put that on.
Now, it's interesting, though, on Tarnin's side is he didn't put the ribbon on any of his AoE casters or his exit casters. So if they get killed out, he's gonna have to travel his way out. He's gonna have to walk his way out. I know he's got two of them, but at least for me personally, I would try and make sure to put a ribbon on, you know, somebody who has an exit charge.
Yeah, I'm apt to agree with you on that one. Like, my white mage, if I have anything resembling good white magic, gets my first ribbon. Tarnin may be considering... he doesn't have any charges of exit anyway, so it's a moot point. But Tarnin may be thinking about it more from the perspective... I didn't see what weapon he has on fight there, but my guess would be that he may be just thinking, I'm going to protect my main source of damage. Yes, I have these sweeping spells, but those are for special cases only. If I don't keep this fighter upright, then I'm not making it through this cave.
And I'm trying to figure out what spell... I think Spellzapp's just trying to get some charges for his casters. I'm not entirely sure what he's doing right now. He's grinding levels over by Elflin.
He may also be, I don't know. He may also be fishing for cash. And it looks like... Okay, Tarnin... excuse me, was trying to bleed off. Oh no, okay, no, he's looking to grind here in the ice in the marsh cave.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Oh, well, we got Mux over on the Spellzapp. Luckily, he gets the first turn run, so that's good because they have Rub. Tarnin is trying to take on a very agile Crawl.
I don't think it's necessarily agility. He just doesn't have a lot of hits at his level, and these things can take a punch. But either way, Spellzapp has gotten deeper into the cave than him just by virtue of not taking that long fight. So we're going to see what Tarnin decides to do from here. And the answer is he's burning that house.
I mean, I think from the only thing that I've really seen that's really dangerous in here is the Mux with Rub. So as long as they don't run into like a mass amount of Mux, they should be pretty good coming out, especially if they have enough heal potions. Although the wizards here on the trap tile can always change things if they roll high on their damage.
Well, the bright side is the odds are good the wizards are unrunnable, so... yeah, and today is an example of that. And they have Cure 4! And there's our So we have a ship, but no canoe. So, at this point, the options are pretty much Melmond area, Crescent Lake, or the Onrak gamble.
They can actually go and turn in the floater. It's open extended.
Oh, right. I already forgot they had the floater. Derp.
So, yeah, this is going to be... as soon as he gets out of here, he's going to save, obviously, hop on that ship, and get on that airship. And fly the world.
You realize, of course, this means that the cube is going to be in a loose chest somewhere on Sharknado floor, right?
I mean, that is one of the dangers of this already is we have the early floater. I mean, you obviously are most likely going to get the ship early. And because of that, now the runners have to be aware of the two loose items. Which two they are, we don't know yet, but it could very well be, loot, key, something very important that they could easily forget.
Well, the good news is Spellzapp is almost out, and he keeps getting these chance to strike firsts to make his escape easier. Tarnin should not be too far behind him, though.
Yep, I think as long as Wookliosis has said, as long as these enemies aren't trying to run amok on them and rub out their light warriors, it should be a pretty easy time getting out.
Now, the bright side is, for Tarnin, he did conserve pretty much all of his firepower, so even if anything nasty is hiding toward the back of the encounter table on his way up, he should be able to just kind of blow it out. Unless, of course, the Scorpions immediately murder his mages.
And it's an interesting point. Sorry for interrupting, but I've seen it before. Is you get the early floater, the early airship, and we haven't seen Provoke yet, which could be an Onrak. And the only way to get to Onrak right now without a canoe is you have to take the boat.
Yeah.
And if that happens to be the case, that is an interesting little twist that the runners have to be aware of.
Yeah, so just to address the question, chat, there is a discussion going on down there about whether or not a Jet Seed is good or bad for Tarnin. And like I mentioned kind of before the match, Tarnin from day one in this community has thrived on seeds that, frankly, only a lunatic would love. Unfortunately for him, he's the kind of lunatic who can love them. So he's definitely more experienced in seeds that make you go, why do I play this game? That being said, I wouldn't necessarily count him out if a seed is more fluid. Because he does still know what he's doing. It's just like, it doesn't handicap his opponent as much.
And Spellzapp checks Melman on his way to the airship, so he finds Provoka. He finds life for his red mage. His red mage is earning even more importance in his team. There's a Quake spell, which I happen to like very much.
Yeah, Quake's generally not a spell you hate seeing. Yeah, there's, if nothing else about this seed, one thing that I'm definitely appreciating right now is you want to find that tail, I feel like, just because of the spread of spells that will be available to your knight. You know, you don't get a lot of them, but the ability to deploy life on your knight especially is huge.
We got an herb pickup from Ibiki. Ibiki must have smuggled some herb over there. I don't know what he was doing with that. Must have been trying to make a high profit.
Well, look. Biki's done a bit of smuggling. He's run his share of grass. He's made enough money to buy Melmond, but he wasted it all so fast. It's never meant to last. Never meant to last.
Tarnin elects to not go to Melmund to check it out. Looks like he's going to go right to the airship. And both runners are actually taking two different ways to get there. One went east, one went west.
Yeah, it looks like Spells just decided he's going to go ahead and check Crescent Lake on his way to the airship, or he's just going to go get the airship before checking Crescent Lake. But I believe Tarnin's route is a little bit faster. He also didn't stop to check Melman, though. And yeah, that pretty much solidifies that his route was faster. So there you go, folks. Within 27 minutes, both runners have completely defeated the theme of this tournament.
Gaia's Gaia. Crescent is Melmun. Spellzapp didn't check Crescent, which is interesting.
So that means we have Crescent and Lefane left to find, and I hope you like coin tosses!
And Sarda has the Chime, which opens up a bunch more stuff for loose items. Dragons have the ribbon, so Tarnin's hair looks exceptionally fabulous now.
Yeah, that's enough now to make sure that you can protect someone who can cast life, if he ever makes it to Provoka. I mean, he will, but... Ah, there's Cure 4 at level 5.
The poor thief was forced to walk the plank, so he's not able to make use of the katana that Tarnin found, but at least he'll be able to sell it for a good bit amount of money. And as you had mentioned, Spellzapp found some pro rings over in Melmon, which are always nice to protect yourself against the death spells, like Rub, Quad Axe.
Yeah, it's, I've got got some interesting stuff. This is a very fun-looking seed, I think. Just in terms of, you've got a lot where you don't need to necessarily worry about fishing for supplies at this point. You're mostly just focused on needing to track down your key items. But to address a question, chat, real quick, why we can't land the airship on the ocean? What do you think being buried in a desert does to a ship's hull? Because I'm going to go ahead and spoil it for you. Nothing good.
Alright, looks like the herb from the prince leads to the TNT. So now Spellzapp's going to go explode something here.
Well, there's nothing to explode. We already had a canal. Now, he might, do a little bit of arms dealing, but, that's legal in dwarf land.
And more fetch quests. One fetch leads to the next, so now he's got to go back to Gaia. Turn that in if he wants. I mean, the only good thing about this is at least then they can count down the key items here and be able to count their items, or their loose items. Since they haven't found any yet, they can kind of determine how much that they're going to check in each of their locations. Do you go Mirage, which has a lot of chests, but he doesn't have Cube? Do you check... You can't check C yet because we don't have Oxiel. You can do Volcano, which is always a good check, too, since a lot of the chests are on the way.
I mean, I've got Fade. I'm going to go check Mirage, personally. Because I can probably take a few fights, get plenty of levels, and also be checking those spots.
And I don't think we've found the key item in the shop yet.
Yeah, at this point it's looking like it's either going to be in, whatchamacallit, Crescent Lake or at the, Caravan. Because I think we've seen all the other item shops now. Well, that Mirage play just got a little more, enticing. I've got some bad news for you, Deep Nerf. You won't be able to use that route in Final Fantasy Randomizer. The devs actually took the 16-square puzzle out of the game to make more room for other things. Which is just something that folks need to... that folks who are unaware might want to be aware of in general, in case that 100 gold, was enticing. It was 100 gold, wasn't it? Also, it looks like Spellzapp is doing what I would have done in this situation, and is going to at least poke Mirage.
A decent amount of money in the Mirage, not very important. Opal Shield, that's not going to help a whole lot until he class changes.
Yeah, like I said, Mirage. I take Mirage play for the fights, and being able to check the chests is just a little bit of lanyap.
Yes, it was Crabcakes. Sarah gave us the floater, and the ship was in Marsh Cave. Spellzapp only checks the... I don't know where he's going now. He goes randomly up north. Looks like he just wanted to check those little bit of chests there, and then he's going to leave. He might do Ice Cave now.
Yeah. Now, if he had, kept wandering around, I would have assumed that maybe he was checking for a T-Rex encounter. Because of the encounter frequency... Well, because the encounters within a zone are moved around, you do have the possibility of bumping into a T-Rex, and I believe there are 4 zones in the Mirage Desert that you can check for those fights.
I do have to agree. There was somebody in chat who said the ice cave. I think the ice cave would have been a good call before volcano in this case, just because it's incentivized. And a group of 5 mucks is going to rub out his team if he's not careful. Although he does have pro rings.
Yeah. The only problem I would have with Ice Cave if I'm in Spellzapp's shoes is, you know, the same reason chat's speculating he went ahead and bailed on Mirage after checking the first floor. I don't think he has the firepower to get to Ice Cave and get back out. Like, Ice Cave is just lousy with group encounters, and, you know, they'll whittle you down really quick if you can't clean them out in a round or two. Yes, Spell is Danny the White Mage. Spell has his principles, and he is sticking to them, and most of those principles seem to revolve around making Dang suffer. Does that seem accurate to you?
That definitely does seem pretty accurate there. I think he has some sort of grudge against me. I think that's what it is. I mean,
well,
it's gonna hurt him, you know. I mean, me as a white mage will carry him, but you know, you would rather Dan me, and I'm dead now, and no fade for.
Yeah, there was a question chat over how black magic's looking right now, and to reiterate what's being said in chat, black magic is passable. They do have Ice 3 and they do have Temper, but no sign of Nuke yet, which suggests that it's either 6th or 8th level. And, yeah, that's bad.
Those peds are very low health. I think they rolled 145. So if you can find them on an early encounter, that'd be nice, early, to help them get through the ice cave.
Yes and no. Like, it is one of those things with peds that, sorry, I'm trying to remember what, I can't remember if peds are necessarily resistant to ice, but it is one of those things where you generally want to use non-elemental magic to take them down, and, I'd like to remind you again what Spellzapp doesn't really have.
Tarnin's checking the greater than and less than. So far, I haven't seen anything from it, but it's still a worthy chest, or a worthy look, considering all the chest exits out. We'll save that, and probably he might go back in, but pretty low level. Though you can get some nice experience from up in the air castle.
Yeah, well, he did get a pro ring out of that, and since those suckers are pretty expensive this seed, I think that probably was worth it, if only for the extra 8 absorb.
Now, I believe they haven't found Canoe, so Tarnin's going to make this trip here and probably have to reset.
He might at least find some good experience on the way. But, alternatively, maybe the good experience is the friends we made along the way. Okay, he just remembered. He may have been fishing to see what the early encounters in that area are. Alright, time... Go ahead.
Let's say the Frost Giant's given Spellzapp some trouble. Tarnin decides not to take on the Tyro, which is so delicious.
Regardless, Tarnin is heading toward Crescent Lake.
Crescent we have not seen yet.
It's gotta be Lefane.
Or it could be Onrac.
No, it can't be, because that would mean that, I guess it could still be. It wouldn't necessarily... Yeah, it could be a three-way rotation, you're right. I was sitting here thinking, well, we've already seen 2 towns that were in their original location, so it'd have to be in a pair, right? No, moron, it could just be 3.
Lefane is Lefane. Is this even randomized?
Not this seed. That's 3 towns that are in their vanilla location.
So we still, yeah. So right now we have the canoe is probably loose, but we'll find out once Spellzapp checks out Ice Cave's treasure chest.
Yeah, the question in chat, dungeons are not randomized in these flags, only the town locations are. So the dungeons are all vanilla. The towns are surprisingly vanilla this time. Half the towns are in their original location if we include Canary.
I think Tarnin is really afraid to go check out Ice Cave right now. It seems like he's trying to look for every other excuse not to go in there right now.
I think Tarnin also just had the realization that he has to sail to Onrak. Now, the bright side is, where they left the boat is really convenient for making that voyage. And the trip back, well, at least he can go ahead and check ordeals on the way back to get his airship, if the canoe is in Onrak.
I think I like what Spellzapp did. He went Ice Cave. You do the Ice Cave. If you can make it out, and let's say it gives canoe, or if it doesn't, then you know that you can check out, then you can make that ship sail. But if you do get the canoe, then it opens up waterfall, and it opens up a lot of other things. You can do your, you can count your key items a lot easier this way.
Yeah, it's not a bad plan. You know, my biggest concern if I were in his shoes would just be if I have the firepower to get out.
Frost Wolves with Lit 3. Okay, this is going to make it interesting. If Tarnin checks that trap.
Meanwhile, it appears we have chat rooting for, basically anything but Canoe and Ice Cave.
You know, the one thing I've realized with chat is they just love to watch, you know, the racers suffer. And you know what? I'm with them. As long as I'm not the racer, make them suffer. I want to watch them adapt.
I personally like a little bit of suffering when I'm running, but then again, I'm like the only person who abdicated for weapon and armor for mission shuffle, so I may just be weird.
And we have a bold prediction from Wilcleosis. Canoe is hidden in Earth Cave. That would be awful, because those chests are everywhere in that place. They are not concentrated in any sort of area.
I mean, aside from the group on the 4th floor, but then you have the problem of we don't have a rod yet. And look who came crawling in. If it isn't old Czar himself.
Looks like we got level 12 across the board, or well, level 12 for his fighter and red mage over on Spellzapp side. So decent levels, not too bad. Allowed him to survive the Lit 3, which was good. I haven't seen the levels over on Tarnin's yet, but it looks like he's got decent HP also, so he should be okay. We get our first look at the eye. And 258, it's about 300 HP was dealt. And there's our canoe. So that was a very good dive.
Yeah, and fortunately for both of our runners, they both made the call. I freely admit, I don't know if I would have made the ice cave dive. I probably would have taken the boat and gone a sailing, so...
I'm kind of surprised he didn't take a little more eye fights with 2, considering how valuable that red mage is. Just to try and get some levels on it, plus the fighter, if you got the chance.
I mean, it's one of those things, he may have been sitting there thinking that if the eye had something nasty that killed the red mage, he may not have been able to get out of that cave. So, you know, bird in the hand, 2 in the book.
And Tarnin just ran into 7 frost wolves. I can't count, apparently. And those can be very deadly with the lit 3. But he gets the early run and doesn't have to worry about it. That's good. Tail over here in Crescent for sale for 12,300.
Yeah, that makes that danning the white mage a little less painful. So I like it.
Plus, after this, he'll talk to the crazy old men roaming their little area, and get another key item, which opens up even more. So this is, and then he can go to Waterfall. Fast is level 6. That's good to see. I think Red Wizard can learn that.
Yeah, that's in the first slot. That's Red Wizard learnable. And Red Mage learnable, I guess. No, he must have applied it for his Black Mage.
Yeah, because he hasn't class changed yet. Old men have the crown. They're hanging out with Astos' crown for some reason.
Look. They were trying to protect the world from the Dark Elf. Like, they took the thing, they dragged it off to another continent, in a city that's only accessible either by sailing around the world or by digging a boat out of a haunted cavern. They're the real heroes here. The runners are the villains.
Tarnin looks like a couple minutes behind Spellzapp on this check, but that's not too bad. Catch up, because here, I mean, I'm curious though if Tarnin will do Waterfall first, just to do it since it's done while he's here, or if he'll do the double dip like Spellzapp is.
I can see him going ahead and tackling Waterfall. He's got everything he needs to go ahead, get what he wants out of there, and then never have to think about the on-rack area.
Now, as you can see on the left-hand side, Spellzapp is actually saving on the airship before he drops down. So when he resets, he can just start moving right away instead of having to wait for the animation of the airship. With a katana-only pickup, I probably would have reset out of that. I don't think he needs the money right now. But that's only a couple seconds it would have shaved.
Yeah, with the Cardia Islands, I tend to be of the opinion that unless you just have an absolutely atrocious encounter table, just walk it out. Save yourself a little bit of a headache.
Life was in, I believe, the 4th slot? No, 3rd slot. And it was Red Mage learnable. And it's also in Knight learnable.
Ooh, I like what Tarnin just did. He picked up steel armor for his other fighter.
Yeah, that's very good armor. Especially with his other, since he's got 2 fighters, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, now, like, between the ice armor they got from Marsh and that steel armor, even if he doesn't find anything else, he's in pretty good condition for endgame. We've seen life at Provoca, to answer the question in chat. So the bright side is, in Tarnin's case, he's gonna have life for days once he class changes.
I'm actually curious. Spellzapp might be doing. I don't think he's ever rezzed his Black Mage. I think he's going just 2.
Well, he did pick up fast on the Black Mage, so it may just be a matter of, like, maybe try and milk a little XP out of the 2-man situation before bringing the Black Mage online.
And as you had said, Tarnin did do the into Waterfall first. I think that was a good call, just to do.
You got Ice, you got Fade. There's nothing in this cave that can threaten you. The only thing you have to worry about is getting outturned by something that has something that you can't handle. And even then, it's not long enough for that reset to feel bad.
Yeah, I think after this, Tarnin will... I mean, both racers are definitely going to... Well, Tarnin's going to class change. Spellzapp and Tarnin after that will then make their way over to Elflin to do... to get the Fade and Life charges on their Knights, which obviously helps out Tarnin immensely, because now he's going to have 4 Fade charges and 3 Life spells. If anything goes wrong, he's going to be able to survive it and rebound a lot easier compared to Spellzapp will be able to.
Yeah. Any seed where I can get life on a Knight is a seed that I'm very pleased to play.
So
Go ahead. I was going to say, the nice thing is the way that the spells are spread out, you don't also have to worry about your Knight, like, having to decide whether to spend his scant spell slots on Life or Fade. You get both.
So we have our loose loot, and the robot gave us Crystal. We are 1 item away from Go mode, I believe.
No, we aren't. We still need Oxyale.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oxyale. I forgot about the Oxyale.
And the Rod.
And the Rod.
And the Key.
Yeah, you know. So 2-3 items. You know, this is why I'm not racing them right now.
Well, you are more than welcome to maintain these misconceptions on Tuesday. Like, I'm just gonna let you know that personally. Just a little note from me to you.
Listen, I'm just trying to give you a false sense of security in our race, okay? That's all I'm trying to say.
Oh, please. My sense of security couldn't be false if I tried. There is no sense of security, false or real.
For Twitch and Chilled, there are 2 loose items, and right now we've only found 1 so far. The Crystal will definitely take out another key item. For the runners, they're probably hoping that the loose item is a ruby, so it's not actually needed, so everything kind of just goes together.
Yeah, I mean, they could also luck out in the loose item as the slab, which leads to the ruby, or something along those lines.
And then we have another bold prediction: loose rod at the vampire. Now that would throw a loop for some things. Who would actually check that until the very last chest?
I mean, I might. Like, if I've got exit, you know what? It's not that long. It's probably on the way. I might check it just on the off chance before I go, like, digging around in other places.
And we were kind of distracted there, and we somehow missed Spellzapp dying. He didn't use his exit charge.
Our tracker, I can tell you what happened. Kyoketsuki, our tracker, is letting us know in chat he ran into something before the last chest, and it myrtleated him. So, there you go. In any case, yeah, Tarnin is now on his way to get his class change. Sorry to cut you off there, Dangwoo, but we did, I actually just wanted to shout out our tracker, who is doing a phenomenal job keeping us abreast of everything. Now, one thing, though, speaking of our tracker that I'm noticing, we do not have many things in the way of swords. We haven't found an Excal, we haven't found the Defense, we haven't found the Maz, we haven't found the Vorpal. The only sword we found that's of note is the Katana. I don't even think we found a Sun Sword yet, which is the most disappointing thing.
Yeah, this is, I mean, we still have, it's going to be interesting though, because if they find the key items to go into Go mode early, I mean, how many chests do you check? I mean, obviously they're going to want to look for some sort of endgame sword. A great axe is not the greatest thing, especially when you're racing one other person. The pressure alone is going to probably force you to maybe check some chests, even just for a Sun Sword or a defense sword, or in some call may definitely hope for is the Game Changer. And we have found the rod, which was over in Matoya.
Now, two things. First, sorry for everyone who's pulling for Loose Rod at Vampire. That dream is dead. And second, what do you mean just a Sun Sword?
You know, that a weapon that everybody kind of forgets about. It's not the Game Changer, you know, it's not Masa. It's just kind of there as a substitute of a substitute of a substitute.
I'd like to think that I've done a good job of making people remember the Sun Sword at this point. But, now I agree. It's one of those things, like, I think with these flags, the weakest weapon I'd feel comfortable going into endgame with would be something like the Flame Sword. Like, anything weaker than that, and I just wouldn't trust I'd have the output necessary to deal with, like, the fiends in Topher.
Now, what's interesting is the Spellzapp is going to Ordeals. He has not got any of his spells for his Knight yet, which I think I would have done, because I know he's almost at level 15. I probably would have gotten that first just to get it done with, so you don't forget it later on. With the life and fade chart, especially with a 2-man, I would have done it. Astos had the slab, which Tarnin just got translated from our nice Dr. Un.
Yeah, I'm guessing that Tarnin is just thinking, well, I'm going to head back to Mirage at some point. You know, I only need to make a couple of saves to make the run down to Lefane. I can reset out if it's garbage. You know, I might as well go ahead and have that option on the table if that's where one of my Go mode items is.
Yeah, see, now his Knight is at level 16, and I mean, you'd at least have one charge of Fade or Life spell if something were to happen that he doesn't have. I know it's not like a major thing, but I think it's something that would help in case. But though, of course, he gets through this really quickly. Let's see. So we got Tarnin is now getting the turn-in of the translated slab. He can now speak the language. And he gets Oxael, so he's in even better position now. We're just looking for the key at this point, and he will be in Go mode. So that helps him out on how many chests he needs to check throughout his fiend battles. And Spellzapp has found Adamant, so that doesn't give him a whole lot of information, but it's not too horrible either.
Yeah, if nothing else, it might at least get him thinking back toward... Where did Turn even find the slab? Like, I'm honestly not recalling where the slab was. Oh, Astos. Thank you, chat.
Oh, sorry, Astos.
Yeah, so, thank you, Dangwoo. It's appreciated. But yeah, so, yeah, so Spellzapp, hopefully that Adamant will get him remembering he hasn't done his crown check yet. And that'll eventually get him back on track to finding his way to that Oxyale.
Spellzapp, go back and pick up your spells. Alright, so Spellzapp is definitely going to get the Astos. He's going to translate that slab. He'll do that. He'll get his Oxyale. He's going to know pretty much where he's at. I mean, he's also going to do the Adamant turn-in, so he might be in a good spot knowing if he needs to check any more chests, and this is going to be probably the biggest thing right here.
You know what? We're at about an hour mark. We don't have any orbs lit, and folks are asking some questions, so... Excuse me? Dang, do you want to demonstrate how good your notes are, or do we want to just try and remember from memory how this seed has progressed?
Ooh. We can give it the old college try here.
I mean, we can work on it together. So, we did get the ribbon and the floater from the King and Sarah. The runners went over to check Provoca. That turned out to be on-rack. Immediately bailed on it. Tarnin took the opportunity to kind of get some early stock up with money that we stole from some old lady. Our ship turned out to be the incentive chest at Marsh, which eventually led to us finding Provoca at Melmond, along with... I did say Floater was at the King and Sarah, right?
Yes, the
Okay,
floater
good.
was from Sarah.
Yeah, so... At Provoca, we found the herb, and that led us on a wild goose chase. No, it wasn't a wild goose chase. That ended up with us acquiring... What did that fetch quest end in?
Which one?
The one that started with us getting the herb from the pirate and then sent us on a world-spanning chase.
I'm trying to remember.
That
gave us the TNT. Herb went to TNT, and then that went to Bottle, which gave us...
Let's see, the crown was at Old Min, the tail was the vendor item in Crescent Lake. Was it the cube? I think it had to have been the cube that we ended up with at the end of all of that, because Chime was... somewhere convenient.
Chime was from Sarda.
Okay, yeah, Chime was from Sarda. And yeah, the crystal eventually has led us to the ruby. The canoe turned out to be at the bottom of Ice Cave, with Adamant hanging out at No, wait, no. Crystal led to... You know what? I'm going to stop talking. I did not take very good notes this time around. But yeah, long story short, it has taken an hour for our runners to actually have the things they need to go into Fiend Dungeons, and we're still looking for a key. Which I think at this point has to be loose.
It's the only... Yeah, it's loose, because the Lithanians have the Oxale, which Spellzapp is picking up. Tarnin is grinding Zombie Ds. So, at this point, I mean, you probably do Sky first, or Volcano, since most of those chests are on the way. And you just check them hoping for that key, and then check a couple chests here and there, hope for a good weapon, and you're in go mode, essentially. I mean, you might have to gain level. You're going to have to gain levels, at least a little bit.
Oh man, I've always wanted to say this. Alright, get your guesses in chat. Where is the big key going to be? You see what I did there?
I did. You know, I have to agree. I seen Brax posting it. I think it's gonna be in the Titans room.
You know what? I'm with Crab Cakes on this one. I think it's going to be left side C Shrine. That one chest that's on its own on Sharknado floor. You said left side. Oh, Sky 1, I see that now. Sorry, Crab Cakes. I did not mean to agree with you. You're wrong now. I'm the only one who's right.
Calling out the spectators. I like it. You're wrong. I'm right. Even though I couldn't read what you wrote. Alright, I don't think Spellzapp ever actually checked where Tarnin is checking those 3 treasure chests there. And from my past experience, they have well, hurt me in some of my runs by not checking them because I always forget them. Ooh, white shirt pickup. That's very important, especially for the white wizard. Looks like Tarnin. Looks like Tarnin is going to skip the long solo chest there. It's kind of a bold move, but I understand it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think I'm in Tarnin's shoes on this one. At this point, it's a coin toss whether you or your opponent finds it first. Like, there's no correct strategy to this, except chest density. So if I'm in Tarnin's shoes, I think I'm going to be skipping chests that are going to take too much time, because if it's in there, you know, maybe my opponent doesn't check it either. Maybe my opponent checks that chest last anyway. So I'd rather check the high odds, and if I have to come back, well, it's not the worst thing that could have happened to me.
Yes, it was a death touch. I believe it was the Wiz Mummies that death touched Spellzapp's Knight. And we know the greater than, less than room doesn't have anything. I mean, Spellzapp doesn't know it, but...
It has the best hand armor in the game for free. Not that he needs it at this point.
And Lord Fizzlebeef does bring up a good point. The marsh-locked rooms could be there. I mean, no, it can't. You have to have the key. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, the one bright spot for these runners is none of the key-locked chests are in play for finding the key, because if they are, then I believe that we're going to have to get at least one of the developers in here to yell at. Like, I think that's the procedure on this.
Alright, our first look at Sky. This is I like this play by Spellzapp in general, just because of the experience gain here. And as long as the bad men aren't too bad, these fights here are really easy, or easier compared to some of the other ones for the amount of experience that they get.
Yeah, and just for the folks who may have been loosely paying attention until this point, we are looking for a key, so if you want to get your guess in chat, we still haven't found it, so it's still valid to guess.
Sorry, Crab Case. Your guess was wrong.
Yeah.
You have another chance though.
I do. Yeah, I'll let you have left side C as well. But I'm not going to rub it in. There will be no victory dancing.
Zeus Gauntlet in Sky 2. That's a nice pickup, even for a 2-man. Allows you to at least have a couple more clear spells.
Yeah, I believe that also takes Gregglypuff out of the running, because his guess was the Northwest Star Room.
Ooh, Asher, Earth 2 key. Lock it in.
And yes, I am in fact actually noting what everyone's guesses are.
Oh, Banesword pickup by Tarnan. That's not a terrible. I mean, that will. I mean, it's better than a Dragon Sword for endgame weapon wise. And there's the key. Spellzapp, lower right hand side of Sky 2. Now, in my opinion, for him, I would do checks more chest too, because you got to hope for some sort of sword, or yeah, some sort of sword to go with it. And if you keep running into eyes like this, I'll take the experience too.
So, absolutely no one guessed anything close to that except for Greggly Puff. So, congratulations, Greggly Puff. You have won the chest guessing game. You were on the same floor. Like, if you and Crab Cakes want to get together and figure out who had the better step count, I'll leave that up to y'all, but you two were the closest. I'll give y'all that. That's a good question. You win free membership into Team Sunsword.
A free membership to Team Sunsword?
Yeah, the best team.
You do know that he is a black belt player, right? I mean, what's he going to do with that? He's going to give it to his red mage?
Well, yeah, that's what I do with my Sun Sword. The key was in, yeah, the lower right chest in, yeah. So it's one of those things, Crab Cakes, you and Greggly Puff were the closest, and I don't know who's the closer step count. Probably still Greggly Puff, but yeah. No, I totally just hand the Sun Sword off to my Red Mage. My Red Mage is always named Woad anyway.
I think I'd rather just sell the Sun Sword at that point. Oh, a defense sword. Okay. So that's a good pickup for Spellzapp. That gets him in a sort of an endgame weapon there, at least on his side.
The defense sword is absolutely an in-game weapon. Like, between that and Ice Sword, I'd go ahead and say, you know what? I can probably make this. I've got low-level temper. I've got fast available. Let's just do this.
And unfortunately, he's running into man cats with trance. And we got our first look at carry over here. The Bane Sword hits for not very much over on Tarnan's side.
Good old man cats. They're the worst enemy.
They really are.
Like, I have never seen a group of man cats and said to myself, I am happy that this happened.
The only good man cat is a dead man cat, in my opinion, or one that I don't run into.
Yeah, no. The best man cat is one that stays as far away from me as possible.
Now, I think I like what Spellzapp's doing here. I think he's going to avoid the north side of those chests since he has the defense sword, a good weapon that he can make use of, and I think he's just going to go.
I think the real question there, Braxious Muse, is how many breads have you eaten in your life? Anyway, at 1 hour and 13 minutes, someone's finally killed a fiend. Y'all remember what the goal of this game is? Because I certainly kind of forgot.
Well, the good news is Spellzapp now knows where the key is. Now, it all depends on where Tarnan goes next. If Tarnan goes into Sky, then he's going to progress really fast also, because he's going to check those chests. If he goes Sea or if he goes Earth first, I don't think he will, because he's a veteran. I think he'll go where Sky is, just because of and he went C. Okay, well. So he's going into the one where you have you go either up or down, and then you have to exit out to recheck all those chests again anyways. I think I would have rather have gone Sky in this case.
See, if I had to take a stab at what Tardan's doing, he's not going to bother checking mermaids. Because it's such a fast check from where it is, he can go ahead and kill all the fiends. So he may be going ahead, killing all the fiends, hitting chests on his way to doing so, and then if he still hasn't found the key, make his call from there.
That's fair. I can see it. Maybe because I am so jaded from missing stuff and forgetting what I've checked and what I haven't checked. I'd rather just full clear something on my way to a fiend, but that makes sense too. And yes, Spellzapp is in go mode right now. He has everything. All the loose items have been found. Tarnan just needs to check Sky 2 lower right hand corner, and that'll be the key loose item.
Yeah, now the bad news for Tarnan, if he is doing what I think he's doing, is that's going to be a later check for him, that key. Now, the flip side to it is Spellzapp still needs to actually go get his Oxy. Or did he? No, he did already get his Oxyale. No, he's alright, never mind. Look, there's a lot going on, and, look, over there! It's a distraction!
The knight got life and fade at level 3.
Life's at 2, fade's at 3, which is kind of your ideal configuration in terms of, you know, at least not having both of those on the same level.
Ah, yeah. You're right. Low's level 2. So we're definitely going to see on... I'm surprised Spellzapp is checking any chests, kind of, at this point. I mean, I know that one was kind of free because of the way it works. You don't get any counters on the side of the doors. I can see wanting a bonk, but at the same time, he's got 2 casters that can cast Temper. It seems... I don't know. Kind of a waste of time. To me, at least.
Wait, did he find the Sun Sword somewhere, Crabcakes?
No, he's got the defense.
That's what I thought. Because I would have noticed if he'd picked up the Sun Sword. I have a sixth sense about these things. I mean, it's easy. It's an easy mistake to make because Defense, Sun Sword, and Excalibur all use the same sprite and slightly different shades of orange.
For now, yeah. For Tarnan right now, hoping for a hard Topher to slow him down. His levels are not nearly as high. He doesn't have a bonk, kind of like what Crapcakes has said. It could be rough if like his Black Mage dies real quickly, since it doesn't have any levels.
Yeah, he does have plenty of life casts to go around, or he will eventually, but it is one of those things like, everyone say have a moment of silence for Dang Wu, because that carry hit like a truck.
Yeah, that didn't feel good. And carry goes down pretty... Actually had a decent amount of armor, absorb at least. It looked like it took a couple tempers and 8 hits there just to finally do any sort of decent damage on carry. And looks like he's going to go into Sea Shrine with Tarnan here.
Everyone get excited. We're doing the Sharknado title. You know, just to revisit an earlier thought, would that mean that Hall of Giants is tile room in this randomizer?
What do you mean?
Well, we were guessing where the key was earlier. Several people jokingly guessed tile room. I guess technically the Hall of Giants on Earth 1 is tile room.
Yeah. There's, what, 4 chests there? 4 or 5 chests, and they're all separated in a pretty good amount of distance between each of them?
Yeah, well, I know that. I was just joking about the fact that there's, like, you know, a dozen spike tiles along that left hallway.
Which is so weird, too. There's, you know, there's 12, you know, what, like 14 trap tiles there. They're all the same. You get giants.
They're not all the same.
Aren't they all?
There are actually 2 different encounters on those trap tiles.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which is something very helpful to keep in mind if you ever have trap tile shuffle on, because, you know, there's a pretty good chance that one of those tiles might actually be a good grind.
That's with the shuffled trap tiles. Oh,
right.
And turning with the poison smoke turn 1 makes easy work of Kraken. See you later, Kraken.
I'm sure that Will Cleosis will be along to dramatically proclaim something in chat momentarily. And Tarnin is going to go back in for mermaids. Or no, wait, is he? Is he just hitting the end and then, excuse me, leaving?
Yeah, that's just unfortunate. Yeah, as Lord Fizzleby from Kybex is saying, there's just so many chests there. That's the only reason why I don't like checking Sea Shrine so early without knowing where the loose item is. I'd rather, you know, continue in a forward manner.
Yeah,
checking it.
I would just skip mermaids. It's a fast check I can come back to later if I have to. Like, I can still make forward progress and be checking chests instead of bothering with mermaids. Like, I don't need the key until I have all 4 orbs lit anyway, and this will probably be one of the first places I come back to at that point.
That's fair.
Yeah, no, I completely understand why he's doing this. I just don't necessarily know if this is a move I would make. In fact, I know it's not a move I would make. Spoilers, Dang Woo, if we wind up in a situation like this on Tuesday, I'm not checking mermaids before doing anything else I can. Unless mermaids is just really early on.
It's okay. I'm sure I'll try and forget to talk to Nitpicky, and he'll end up having the key or loot, and I'll, you know, wonder why there's 3 loose items.
Be sure to tune in to Randomania on Tuesday for a train wreck.
It's gonna be a blast. And Wilkios brings up a good point. At 11 p.m. tonight, we have Volcanic versus Lord Fizzlebeef. Now, those are some veterans there that are going to be going at it. With Will Cleosis commentating? Oh, you're in for a treat, everybody.
And Will Bloodworth. The Willuminati is getting back together early on for this tournament. Also, I like crab cakes. Going with shockingly good to describe Falconic. You heard it here first, folks. Shockingly good. But yeah, that's in about an hour and a half, I'd say. And I believe that's the only other restreamed action we've got going on tonight. I know we've got a couple of off-screen races happening as well. Which Twitch and Chilled is actually going to be one of the runners in that. In the meantime, though, Spellzapp has cleared out Kraken as we would expect, and is about to just run through Earth Cave like it doesn't matter. Because
Yep, I don't see him checking maybe the vampire just because it's there. I know it's 2 steps, 3 steps. You never know. You might find the random Masa there or Excalibur. It'd be worth it. Oh, Excalibur for Tarnin, so that's a really good pickup. That was in Mermaids.
Yeah. So if there is any kind of problem in Topher, that does give Tarnin a little bit more of an advantage. I don't think Spellzapp's going to have issues in Topher with levels. Like, I do 4-man strats, but with a 3-man strat, level 25, I'd feel okay going ahead and hitting Topher.
I mean, I guess the only thing that could really throw him off is nuke early casting from the enemies. If it's a little farther down, at least that gives him time to set up his charges, like from his multiple casters. And if they happen to die, his knights should be able to then solo, and then he can recover from that. But that's also hoping nuke is farther in the spell list.
Yeah, chat does point out that his Black Mage is at a minor disadvantage, having been Danned for a while there. Level 16. Okay. Yeah, I think I'd probably want level 27 on my Fighter and my Red Mage. Then level 27, level 28, just to offset the fact that that Black Mage is basically there to cast Temper before getting killed.
I mean, I would... What is it? 31 or 32 is when it gets its 4th hit?
Yes, but you have to understand, I despise grinding. Like, at this point, level 27's about as much as I would be able to tolerate before saying, you know what, I'm bored now. I'm going to go attempt Topher.
Actually, I lied. For the Defense Sword, it's 29. So I think 29 would be a good one. For the 4th hit?
Yeah, but you have to know that. No, hey! There's a dragon armor. Yeah, at this point, pretty much Tarnin needs Temple of Fiends Revisited to be an absolute nightmare to catch up to Spellzapp, because as far as gearing goes, Tarnin's in way better shape. So
yeah.
If Spellzapp takes a couple of wipes around, say, fire or water floor, Tarnin can catch up. He's already cleared out Mirage, and if he is very procedural in clearing out Sky, he ain't gonna be missing that key for very long. And he's high enough level to where Sky can't really threaten him, so he is still into this. He is gonna need a little help from the seed, I think, but this is definitely not something where he can't make a comeback.
And I'd just like to point out to everybody, Spellzapp pulling some dang strats right there. Quake's Lich, that's how it's done right there. Save turns. The ultimate disrespect on Lich right there.
If he didn't want to be disrespected, he would have learned how to fly. He is a high-level spellcaster. Fly is 3rd level. This was not a hard thing for him to... Levitate's 1st level! There is no excuse for him to be quakeable. I'm sorry.
Volcanic, that's probably true, but as a duckling, I have not actually hung out with Split Punched, so I am calling dibs on that.
Okay, point of order, Split Punched would have instead gone for, like, I don't know, Zapping Lich? You know, just going for something a little more esoteric than Quake.
Quake is so easy to cast on him. I'm going to cast Zap instead. Make it way more interesting. Now, I haven't seen what levels Spellzapp is at. Okay, 24. He's 5 levels away from the 4th hit on the Defense Sword. Or, I'm sorry, the 5th hit. Right? Is it the 5th? 4th?
Should be 4th, I think. No, 5th. It'll be... Wait,
The
no,
5th.
4th. Okay, you know what the problem is here, Dangwoo? We're doing math live on Twitch.
Well, I was hoping that I could, convince one of the nice spectators that are here, that would help me out on this one because math is hard. So I was trying to cheat a little bit there and get them to math for me. But instead,
They're also
talking
live on
about...
Twitch.
Yeah, I mean, instead they're talking about, quaking stuff, the quake check and stuff like that. I mean, I'm trying to do math here. Help a brother out.
Alright, so it looks like Spellzapp has decided that, he's just going to go for it. And he is doing a veteran move there and burning through his save items so that he can just go ahead and go with his heals in a convenient...
It's kind of interesting that he left the white mage there in the 2nd slot. I think I probably might have tried to move it down in the 3rd or 4th slot, just hoping that it would last a little bit longer, so I don't have to cast that life spell. But I mean, that's something really minor. It's gonna die anyway.
All right, checking my convenient cheat sheet, which I absolutely do have. It does look like it'll be a 5th swing on that defense sword when he hits level 30.
And Spellzapp's going to check these 2 chests. Nothing of value there. It'd been interesting if it had been the Masa there, because then that'd been really good to check.
I always get nervous checking these chests. Like, I usually do, because there's always, like, 1 or 2 luxury items that I'm like, I might find it in here, and it's... Oh, hey, there's the power bonk!
I mean,
Anyway.
Tarnin is going to be very well equipped when he gets into Topher. Now, the thing is when he gets there, though, how easy, how hard is Topher going to be at that point?
Well, so far it's not putting up much of a fight, but it looks like Spellzapp has played his cards right in terms of encounter manipulation. And while it is true that multiple tempers obsoletes Power Gauntlet, I would point to A, the move economy, and B, the fact that it's funny that you think that Spellzapp's Black Wizard is surviving long enough to cast Temper twice.
Some people like to believe in the heart of their light warriors, and he'll be able to survive. And there's your Sunsword pickup. Ooh, and Masa was in the last floor leading up to Lich.
Yeah, if this is a hard toe for Tarnin is set. So...
Yeah, that definitely is going to make it interesting. How hard are these fiends going to make it for Spellzapp? If it's even somewhat of a low rolls on them, Spellzapp's probably getting through, especially if Nuke is hidden. But if he takes 1 wipe, maybe 2, Tarnin is probably going to beat him at that point.
I think he needs 2 wipes, because Tarnin's still got to get back to Spider Floor, and where key is, that's not going to be, like, an early check of Spider Floor. Like, it might be slightly faster for Tarnin if he goes, like, clockwise instead of counterclockwise, but I think most people favor counterclockwise.
Masa was in the floor leading up to Lich. In the bottom left, it was hidden. It was also with the Sunsword in the room with 3 chests.
Yeah, those 3 chests no one ever checks unless they're still looking for something.
And Spellzapp is now on to carry. Oh, looks like Tarnin is going to do the Titan check.
You can attend to your droid real quick. That's fine.
It was yelling at me and Tarnin trying to tell him to go to the Mirage.
Well, he ain't got much else to check at this point. He's got to go to Mirage.
Carry 2 doing carry things here. One shot are killing off Spellzapp's white mage, kills off the black mage, which we knew was going to be sacrificed anyways. The only downside for Spellzapp is he doesn't have any white shirts. He doesn't have any Invis 2 at this point, so he's gotta hope that nobody tries and targets his red mage or his red wizard.
This is actually something we were wondering beforehand. Does Tarnin go by she or he? Okay, that's what I was wondering. Alright. Well, there goes that black mage. Okay, cool. Thanks for the heads up, y'all.
Now we have a healing potion problem on Spellzapp. He's down to about 30. He keeps rezzing the black mage and it keeps dying.
Yeah.
So
that's what I meant, is at the levels that black mage is at, that is probably Tarnin's biggest problem right now, is basically anything that hits that black mage is going to kill it.
And looks like Tarnin is doing a blue dragon grind at this point, so I'm assuming he's guessing that Spellzapp has been in the same situation, looking for stuff. He's not in a huge hurry, thinking that.
I mean, either that, or he's assuming at this point that his only hope is for Topher to be a problem.
Oh, I know why he did that. He wanted the Moss extra hit.
Ah, good point.
I mean, I don't exactly know. I don't know why you do it there at that point. I think you could have just gained it as you went anyway.
I mean, it may be a matter of he can one-turn the blue dragon, whereas any other fights he could take might not be one-turnable.
Ah, good point.
So Kraken 2, in the meantime, not giving Tarnin the opportunity he needs.
Defense sword hits 8 times for 852, comes back 7 hits, 912. The defense sword is doing work over here.
Yeah, no, defense is, like I said, defense is a sword I'm more than willing to take to the end game. Like, it's above the threshold of Ice Sword, and that's good enough for me.
And as you had pointed out, oh, never mind. Still on the first floor. We know he's got to go one more floor up before he'll find it. Bane comes out. He has 3 ribbons, I believe, so he should be good on that. Once again, I'm dead on Spellzapp's team because he just doesn't like me.
Well, the problem is that that Black Wizard's the next one in line. Now, he's probably got enough tempers at this point to tear through Tiamat. Or not. Oh, man, that's bad. Well, this is probably going to fix that up.
Yeah, okay. I have to admit, I'm kind of glad to see that Tia killed his red mage before it casted that extra temper.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Because he's already down to 3 tempers only on his red wizard. And Tarnin looks like went clockwise, so he's about to find his key here. in
Yeah,
about...
one more room, and then he'll have his key. So yeah, yeah, Spellzapp. Spellzapp has life on that night, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he can at least pick his party up for Chaos. But if that Chaos is anywhere near as beefy as this Tiamat 2, Spellzapp could be in trouble. And with that, Tarnin is finally in go mode, and our long national nightmare comes to an end.
Now, these heal potions really low on Spellzapp. He's down to 8, 7. He still has to heal. Does he have enough? He's got 1 heal 3, but he's got to use it for fast. I think he's just going to leave... Oh, the worm.
Yeah,
This
I was
is
going to
not...
say... I thought Cure 4 was an alertable spot in Melman. Maybe I'm mistaken. No, it isn't. Yeah. Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, that was probably the worst thing for him right there.
Yeah, pretty much. That is going to make this a hero mode fight. I don't even know if he has... Okay, he has enough life spells to get his party picked up. Does he have healing?
He has 1 heal 3, but it's in the fast category of his red wizard.
So, remember earlier when One Fine Day was talking about how, you know, Spellzapp would be fine, he's got plenty of temper available? This is what I meant when I said that he probably doesn't want to rely on those tempers with the setup he had.
So far, Chaos is playing nice. He's got 1 temper off. He has the fast. He needs... Wait, he got cracked through ribbon.
Yeah, he did! Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. 3 and 256 has reared his head, and I'll give it to you, Dang Wu. 1 wipe was all it took. We have a race.
Yeah, those double worms really hurt him. That double worm probably hurt him a lot, but I mean, can't do much against the crack. You know, that very slim chance. And I think Tarnin is going to definitely probably catch up and beat him by the end of it.
I think so too. If nothing else, Tarnin's got the reserve firepower that Spellzapp lacks. Like, he is in a much beefier position in terms of just ability to dish out damage. And yeah, like, if nothing, even with, like, having a little less buff ability on his side, he's got fast, he's got 1 character who can power bonk, he's got Maza and either Defense or Sunsword, whichever strikes his fancy. I mean, there are a lot of folks in chat who are feeling bad for Spellzapp. I don't really know if I liked his odds against that Chaos, even if the fighter had lived through that round.
I mean, I think he actually had a good opportunity because Chaos was playing it. He was playing it easy for him. He one-shots the 1 caster that is doing nothing. He still has his lead white mage up front that's going to take a melee hit anyways, more than likely. You know, the crack went through, unfortunate, but he casted an AoE spell that should have been resisted. So that's 2 turns. He's already got his fast off. He has his temper off, 1 temper off, and he's got 2 charges of the defense. So he's in a pretty good shape. It's just 3 and 256 chance.
I'm not concerned about the skills on this Chaos. He's still Chaos. He still has a very high potential defense and HP. And Spellzapp is not in a great position to punch through a beefy Chaos. So it's one of those things like, yeah, if the crack hadn't happened, he might have won, but until we see how much damage that Chaos takes, it's entirely possible that we'd be in the same position, except, you know, he'd be behind Tarn instead of a floor ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and we hadn't seen the absorb on it and stuff like that. I mean, I totally get it. I just thought it was a very good turn order that he could have had a very good chance if it would have been a somewhat generous.
Yeah, I do have to agree on that front. Chaos definitely gave him an opportunity before breaking his heart.
Yeah, because he could have easily just casted a Lit 2, killed all of his casters, and then I would have just reset from there. Like, at least he had a slim chance to get set up. Chaos was nice enough to give him that slight chance.
Oh, hey, Lich had damage poison. I missed that. Good old damage poison.
And just like that, Tarnin has taken the lead on the fire floor.
Yeah, but once again, what's really biting Spellzapp is the fact he has to rely on these heal potions, and while he did a good job of setting up his inventory, that still takes time.
And as they pointed out, the White Mage does have Cure 4, so that is an immense speed up on healing compared to using your healing potions like what Spellzapp's got.
Oh, hey, Agamas have Thunder. I didn't see that earlier.
I don't think anybody ever actually took on the Agamas, really. I think everybody just kind of ran from them or one-shot them. So we never actually got this. He's one fine day, he's falling behind just for the simple fact of healing spell resources. He doesn't have very much, and the ones that he does have are hidden behind fast. So his red wizard has to be careful on how many times he casts.
So, while we're kind of tracing over old ground a little bit, here's a pondering for you, Dengwu. You have two fighters. Do you defense the one with the Maza, or do you put defense on the one that you're going to put in front of the one with the Maza?
I'd put it on the one with the Maza.
Yeah, I mean, I would too, but it is just, it is something to consider. Is just like, do you play to, force Chaos to punch his way through one fighter and then the other, or do you just make sure to defend your your attacker?
I mean, I've tried it that way, but for some odd reason, it's like the enemies know what you're trying to do, and they say, you know what, that last guy, I'm gonna attack him instead. It's like they have a homing beacon. They're like, he's the most threatening, and you just got rid of his defense sword, so I'm gonna kill that one.
And as we can see here, Tarnin has decided he ain't got time to bleed. He did not even bother putting his knights in the rear.
Makes short work of Kraken. I mean, not nearly as powerful hits compared to, the defense sword that we've seen, but, it's alright.
Well, here's the thing. We know that Tia 2 has plenty of absorb. You know what Tarnin can do, though? Just dump Fades into her. I'm pretty sure he picked up Fade on the Knights. I mean, if he didn't, he has Fade on 2 characters.
It's interesting that he's keep casting defense on the knight, but at the same time, it's probably a good call. He's going for 3 turns.
Yeah. Nah, it's one of those things. He's already taken 1 wipe. He doesn't know where his opponent is. He's not taking any chances on a second wipe.
And he healed his knight to try and make sure that it's at least a high probability of just in case Kraken has nuke. I think that was pretty smart. So
All
we
right.
haven't seen Nuke on any of the fiends yet, which for anybody who doesn't know, they get shuffled between Warmech and all 4 fiends. So we haven't seen any Nuke, we haven't seen any nuclears. So they're out there, but they could also be hidden on Warmech, since we haven't seen Warmech either.
Yeah, this Tiamat 2's Absorb is definitely in play. Tarnit is just going ahead and dumped a couple of tempers into his Maza wielder. But yeah, no, I think what you have to do here is just dump the Fades into Tiamat 2.
Another Fade cast, 126. I mean, he's got a decent amount of magic defense, too, it seems like. I don't think I've seen very high damage from the Fade either.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not great, but it's one of those things, it's making this fight shorter to fire off the Fades.
I think I just seen 2 hits from the Masa. Is that a high evade Tia 2 we're seeing? Yeah, 2 hits, 151.
Ooh, there's Swirl. That's never fun to see. To answer the question in chat, as Tardan slowly chip damages down Tiamat 2, and Spellzapp does the same. Danny, sorry about that, y'all. I just realized I had my mic hot while I was scratching right next to it. But I actually watch everything with one eye closed. Yay, being blind in one eye!
And once again, Spellzapp is running low on health potions. Ooh, 516 hits from... Really needs to kill this Tia 2 if he's going to have a chance. He really... Yeah, I would just spend the Fade charges at this point. Needs to kill the Tia 2. And Tarnin looks like he's just going to go all offense at this point. He's going to rely upon the white shirt. Just power bonk and start hitting right away. Oh, that's he doesn't have the defense sword, so he's going to do it that way.
I don't think Tarnin ever did pick up fast. It was in the first slot of Black Magic and Crescent Lake. And so, yeah. Crescent Lake was at on-ramp.
And Spellzapp runs into stun-touched airs, and oh my.
And it looks like we do have a beefy chaos.
Ooh, this is rough. Okay, Spellzapp needs to recover.
Yeah, you gotta just take a breath at this point.
Yeah, Tarnit hits, 770 damage.
Oh hey, look, Chaos has nuke!
Another hit, 2 hits, 716 damage from Masa, and he finishes. The official SRL time of 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 37 seconds.
Oh, that was tense.
That, I mean, that was... I mean, Tarnin was definitely in a lot better spot, but even with him being in a better spot, armor and stuff like that, he almost wiped. And based on what we've seen anyways, I don't think Spellzapp would have been able to finish off Chaos with what he had.
Yeah, the crack was basically a mercy, almost. And that's weird to say with a crack through ribbon, but it would have sucked to have gotten all that way and then just like slowly bled out as your opponent like was closing the distance, and then you die anyway.
That was probably the most unforgiving, I guess, air floor possible for Spellzapp. I mean, I know Tarnin had some problems too, but the double worms that just ate up all his health potions, and then he runs into airs that stun touch and hit decently hard.
Spellzapp has understandably declined an interview. We're still waiting to see if Tarnin will come join us for a bit of a chat. Alright, yeah, he's firing up Discord, so he shall be along shortly. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think the nuke would have hurt him. I mean, though he did have a very good turn order. Like I said, it would have been very close because he might have had 3 defenses up. As long as Chaos didn't have like a double nuke or a nuclear, I think he might have still had a shot.
Yeah. Either way, though, Tarnin, we're going to drag Tarnin in here and talk to him about how the seed went. Tarnin, GG.
Hey, thanks. My heart's racing. How are you?
We're not too far behind. So first things first. About the time you were killing Tiamat 1, your opponent was on Chaos.
Yeah, that does not surprise me in the least. What level was he, though?
He was level 27 or so on
wow.
And the red mage level 18 on the black mage.
Okay.
Basically, he danned his white mage before he found the fade. And then at one point, the black mage went down. He went with 2-man strats for a while.
Sure.
But what wound up happening was he basically burned through all of his resources getting to Chaos, and then Chaos cracked his fighter through a ribbon.
Oh my, that feels terrible.
I mean, it's one of those things, he checked air before diving sea or earth. So
yeah, that explains the lead.
Well, yeah, he also missed out on basically everything but the defense sword, which was on the
because bottom of Earth had all of the swords ever.
Pretty much. Yeah, so it's one of those things, like, go ahead.
Where'd you say defense sword was?
3rd floor sky.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, he basically, like, burned through sky, well, he pretty much burned through the rest of the game after he found the key in that defense sword.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I would have too. It was a blessing curse that I cleared the whole game, you know?
Yeah, because that power bonk wound up saving you in the end.
Well, the bonk and the Mazza, my fighter had, 150 hit points left? Like, literally any less damage, and I would not have made it through that fight.
Yeah. So it's one of those things like, yeah, that Topher was rough, and when you go back to watch the VOD, you're going to hear us repeatedly saying, the only way that Tarnin gets back in this is if this Topher is just horrible, and it turned out that Tia 2 and Chaos delivered what you needed.
Yeah, I want to look up how many hit points that Tia 2 had, because she just refused to ever go down.
I don't think it was the HP so much as just the absorb.
Well, the absorb and the evade, I got, 1 hit with my X-Cal the first turn, and, that's always a scary thing against a high hit point boss.
Yeah, did you just not, actually, yeah, it makes sense for you, because you hadn't class changed when you went to Crescent Lake,
Correct.
So you wouldn't have had,
so I noted the fast, but, I couldn't buy it then, and then it was way out of the way.
Yeah, because by the time you were ready to go to Topher, you didn't even stop to restock on heal potions, which Lord Fizzlebeef, I would suggest watching the VOD on Randomania so you can watch Lord Fizzlebeef's reactions, assuming that
how much was he panicking?
Let me put it to you this way. If it's possible to grab someone by the collar and shake them while yelling in their face via chat, Lord Fizzlebeef may have discovered the key to do so.
Yeah, in my head, I'm going, I have 84 potions. Is that enough? Can I spend the time? And, I don't know. I had a cold read that my opponent did Sky before Earth, and therefore was that far ahead of me. And the only way I was catching up was, he wipes, I don't spend the time to restock or to buy fast, and I get through. And, well... Yeah, I'm sorry, go on, but that was the thought in my head on why I didn't pick up heal potions.
Yeah, no, I'm fully convinced that you could just sense Lord Fizzlebeef yelling at you the entire way.
Oh, I always have Lord Fizzlebeef yelling in my ear the entire way. Not my physical ear, my mental ear.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things, like, you could be deaf and have been raised on a remote island and just be this prodigy feral child who understands no language but somehow understands Final Fantasy Randomizer, and you still would have understood how upset Lord Fizzlebeef was with you for not checking Sky first.
Yeah, he highly has advocated for me to not bother checking Earth like I do, and he is completely right, and yet, nonetheless, I full cleared Earth again this seed.
Well, maybe by the end of the tournament you'll stop doing that. Maybe Lord Fizzlebeef will drive to your house and, like, brainwash you into not doing that. Who knows?
Let's hope he does, because I don't know that I can handle another race like this one. So did Spellzapp wipe? How many times did Spellzapp end up wiping in Topher?
Once.
Oh,
he
wow.
wiped out Chaos, and you walked into Topher about 20 seconds after he went back in.
Oh my! What fight was he on when I finished?
He was on. Sorry, he wiped on Chaos again as you were fighting him.
Oh wow!
Or no,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Airs. He wiped on Airs the second time. They had paralyzing touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his problem was he not only didn't have the power bonk, because obviously he didn't have the power bonk. What kind of an idiot would have checked the 4th floor of Earth?
Yeah, only a fool would have checked that.
But secondly, because his black mage had spent so much time taking a dirt nap, his black mage just didn't have the longevity necessary to pile on the tempers he needed to plow through Tia and Chaos.
Well, I mean, I know that I get a lot of guff from basically the entire community, but that statement right there is exactly why I don't like black mages. They let you down at the one stage of the game that you need them the most.
I mean, it's one of those things. I think if his black mage had had close to the levels that his fighter and red mage did, it may have done. He may have been better off in that situation. But
with two temper casters, you are in a better case in that situation than I was in, right?
More or less. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, his black mage just didn't have the health, and his red mage just didn't have the spells to kind of drag him through, and he just didn't have the resources to make it to Chaos.
Yeah, I mean, that Topher was a tough Topher. Like, I know I haven't done many practices of this, but, like, you know, it's a 200% Topher. Like, I've done those before. For a 200% Topher, this one was pretty unforgiving.
Yeah, the Thunder Agamas didn't make it much better.
Yeah, the Thunder Agamas, and just like in a time sense, my, 2 fights in a row back-to-back with Fog 2 Frost Wolves that I failed to run on both of them. I was pulling my hair out and screaming.
Yeah, that felt like less a function of the Topher and more just a function of, like, the RNG for this seed.
Oh, yeah. Fail to run is, like, my takeaway on this. And, like, admittedly, I constructed a party that has about the lowest run chance that you could take into it. That is a risk that I, knew going into it. But on top of that, the RNG on run chance was not in my favor, particularly against enemies that cast things like Fog 2.
I mean, I also am one of those weirdos who prefers to have thieves anyway, so everyone's run chance sucks.
I, in general, prefer thieves, and, like, I haven't practiced them on this flag set, and that's basically... Oh, wait, weren't they banned this time? Yeah, they're
banned this time, so...
I was considering taking one, but them being banned is probably good for my protection.
Yeah, you now have... Well, I mean, you couldn't have picked them anyway. Like, the flags explicitly make them unpickable. Yeah, that's one of those things, like, now you've got a week to prepare your thief strats for this flag set.
Yeah, I hope we get a Force Thief for a week, because I think that those of us who practice thieves will be minorly favored, because we have the experience of using them. Although, on the other hand, a lot of people are doing 3- and 2-person strats on this, and so, letting your thief die is always a fine, thing to let die. So I hope that we get at least one Force Thief week, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, no, I am definitely pulling for the Force Thief week. Like, I've been running through in my head, like, my strategy for each kind of combination. So I am pumped for the coming week.
These are the kinds of flags that I kind of like Thieves in. When you're full clearing the game, you end up, by having that very high run chance and having, just when Thieves come up in the turn order quickly, it saves a lot of, seconds and hemiseconds over the course of a run. A second.
Ixnay on telling everyone how to win A.
That's kind of my job, teaching new players, right? But
yes.
I'll let it go right now.
You can teach them by example rather than telling them exactly what to do.
No, if they learn from my example, they'll be full clearing Earth, and then they'll just lose.
Yes, and that favors me anyway.
All right. Well, good luck.
Teach them that.
Good luck in your match, Wout. You said that our matches were quantumly linked, so hopefully that works out in your favor.
I am absolutely helping. Yeah, I'm absolutely hoping that that's the case. Dangwu, I assume less so, but...
I mean, I'm going to have a talk with Tarnin a little bit later to learn all these techniques on how to win. So,
hey, absolutely.
Tarnin,
I love
a little
helping
bit later,
I mean,
yeah, hit me up in PMs or in new player help or whatever. Like, ping me. Absolutely. I'm always up for helping.
I mean, I've already warned Tarnin Tarnin already knows how I'm planning to approach this, so that is actually probably the smartest thing you could do. It's not going to help you because either my strategy is going to work or it won't, but at least it'll prepare you for what you'll be up against.
Don't worry, Wout. I won't tell him all your secrets.
I mean, he literally can just go look in the Discord.
Also, I'd like to drop a plug here. We've got the Fizzlebeef versus Falconic match coming up here in 50 minutes on a different channel. That is going to be super duper exciting, and so people should go watch that.
Yeah, Speed Gaming 5 in about 55 minutes. I was actually about to plug that because I figure that's a good excuse for us to
go for it. Give
everyone a chance to catch their breath before getting a dose of Illuminati commentary with Shadow Walker and Falconic going at it. It is Shadow Walker and Falconic, right?
Fizzlebeef and Falconic.
Fizzlebeef. Okay. They were both yelling at you. They kind of merged together after a while. I'm sorry.
One's my mentor and challenge seed guy. The two people who I interact with the most in FFR land.
Anyway, the point being, it's a hype match with hype commentator on the closest thing the Speed Gaming Network has to the Ocho until they actually are forced to do the Ocho. So y'all need to go watch that. I'm going to be watching that.
Ooh, me too.
It's going to be exciting. Look, this is a long, exciting race. You can't blame me for getting people confused. Shut up, Shadow Walker. We are just ending this race, Cyclor, but we do have another race lined up. I would suggest checking it out. So, on that note, Dangwu, I've kind of done all the talking here in the post-game. Any thoughts?
You were doing such a fantastic job of it. I just wanted to sit back and analyze my opponent for next Tuesday, So that's all I've been doing. I've been learning. I've been understanding, your mind, and I'm ready for next Tuesday. And for this race here, I mean, being the safe path and paying attention to, or not paying attention, but doing the safe path, checking a lot of the chess, getting all your guys of equal level was the winner in this case. The speed was nice, but you run into a tough fight, and this is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tarnin, your thoughts?
Fun seed. I need to actually practice these flags. That was the third of this flag set that I've ever played. The second one being this morning against Demrain. So yeah, whole big tournament ahead. Lots of fun, exciting matches to watch. Interesting flag set. Lots of running around, often in a boat. Not so much boat time today because we had that nice early floater, but learn how to clear marsh. Anybody? Yeah. Dingwu and Wout, you kept saying Tuesday is your match. What time?
9 Eastern on one of the Randomanias. I don't think we've been assigned it yet.
Everyone come tune in and support these two great commentators as they play against each other with different people commentating.
Yeah, no, it'll be exciting. This will be the first time I've ever raced.
Yeah. And seems like this was a good kickoff of the tournament. I hope the rest of the thing goes this well, except maybe less heart attacky at the end, for me at least.
Yeah. And I guess for my final thought, dang, what do you think I've been doing for the last 2 hours?
Well, I hope you're not. I hope you're not trying to get inside my head, because if anybody who has ever raced against me will tell you, do not follow my plan of attack, because you'll just get completely lost, and you won't talk to Bicky, and yeah, you're done that.
I wanted to do your Ordeals early plan, but it didn't work without a canoe to get there.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that we should go ahead and give these fine people who are watching a chance to rest. If you're not already in the Discord that Czar conveniently called upon the bot to summon, get in there. And go over to the Randomizer and join all of the Discords that are hooked up over there, because
they each offer a different experience.
Exactly. So, on that note, we shall hopefully see most of y'all here in a little while for what promises to be
the most exciting
and exciting.
Yeah.
So, catch y'all on the
flip side. Good night, everybody.
Take care.